We alkalize to realize the body is the temple, water is the source of life. We breathe in life and then we synthesize. This liquid sun will free your glands and begin to decalcify. Peer through your third eye, see through the lies and give your body what it's missing. We dehydrated, and that's the human condition. But when you clean the body and believe the body, you set yourself up to receive the body. See, it's a sharp knife, that's the water of life. It's like a sword cutting parasites down the sides. It takes a certain kind of faith to know that you're divine. And if it comes from urethra, then it's alkaline. We serve in truth, and it don't matter how weird it really gets. It's the linchpin ascended masters to initiates. We alkalize to realize. Open your mind and find you had it inside this whole damn time. We alkalize to realize. Open your mind and find you had it inside this whole damn time. You had it inside this whole damn time.
Okay, so hello and welcome to Alkalise to Realize. Today I'm your host, Henry Draper, and we have a special guest, which is Jacklyn Nicolle. And she's not your average healer. She resides in Los Angeles, California. She's a spiritual healer and medicine woman. And so she likes to talk about who you are and what is your why. Why do you specialize as a spiritual healer? She likes to talk about what is Divinity and your higher vibrational product line, which is her why. And she's always had a huge interest in helping others feel better in life, whether it's with a holistic remedies for better health, sharing knowledge, or just being an open ear to hear them out when they need a friend to listen while empowering them with positive outcomes. She's always enjoyed being actively involved with the community and bringing entertainment to a space that would light up the hearts of those who attend the events that she coordinates. While throwing a twist of motherhood when she feels by bringing more out of events like that are kid friendly so the whole family can enjoy them. She loves kids, and she's realized that doing this her whole life is like her purpose here, whether it be in the music or beauty industry. And when she wasn't enlightened as she is now, she was already doing it anyway. The difference now is that she's awakened with a purpose and to help others and elevate healthier habits and balance the mind, body, and spirit of people into a world that needs ultimate healing that will only change when you do as she's had to do. So this is so cool. This is why we create peace on the planet. This is how we create peace on the planet, and she wholeheartedly enjoys being of service wherever she can, bringing solutions to your challenges, relaxation to your mind, and a high vibrational tool set and products to your overall well-being, while incorporating sound frequencies where it's needed to alleviate your soul. This is what sets her soul on fire daily. Wow, what a cool fire, Jacklyn. That is really, really cool.
Thank you. You're so kind. I love it.
That's wonderful. So, how did this all start for you? You grew up in the Western society. I'm guessing you went to high school and everything. So, what was the first thing that kind of got you into this so-called alternative path of making sense when everybody else is agreeing to the system that doesn't make sense, or they have been,
Yeah, those are great questions. It was pretty interesting because like how you had said in my bio, I've kind of always been a unique individual. I've always kind of stood out as an outcast. Even when I thought I was kind of blending in, I've always been the black sheep, so to speak, that they would call it, right? And I've always had like a good heart to help people, regardless of what their ethnicity was, their background, their culture, whatever it is. And I grew up with a lot of athletes. I'm an athlete, an ex-athlete, should I say, but I'm active. And I used to race BMX bikes and ride motorcycles and do more masculine sports, being a tomboy. but I also had that little gift of like, I love to dance and I love to, you know, sing. I'm not like a professional singer, but just having that more feminine side and aspects to my life, right? Well, being raised by a single father, you know, I grew up in a lot of my masculine energy. So it was really, you know, my dad did the best he could as a father, but I was really, really in a state of kind of trying to figure out who I was, because I knew that I needed to tap in more deeper to my feminine side. So I started getting into like makeup and hair, and that's where I fell into like the beauty industry. And the beauty industry was a lot of fun. I am not a licensed beautician. However, I did go to school, and then I realized that I have a really good gift in business and marketing, and really just community, like doing more community work with people and being like a brand ambassador when I could, and just kind of, you know, promoting products and so forth. So along my journey, I started doing that. And then that kind of scaled into the music industry at one point, as I was, you know, a brand ambassador for Sailor Jerry rum, the liquor. And I started seeing like my gifts of how I was able to transcend, should I say, you know, myself into this like beautiful butterfly of being like, you know, community love kind of thing, I guess you can say. However, at the time, I wasn't, like I said, as conscious as I am now, to where I was drinking, I was partying, and I, you know, dabbled in some things here and there. I was never an addict, but I just, you know, made poor choices. And the surroundings that I was in, it was just kind of like very toxic. And I did my best to always shine my light, right? But I was really into like the rock and roll scene. I still am. I love punk rock. I love alternative music, grunge. I grew up with like Nirvana and Hole, and like really good music, like, you know, Stone Temple Pilots and stuff like that. And then I came into like more of like the metal scene, and I still wasn't feeling fulfilled. So when this started occurring, I ended up becoming pregnant. I was with someone for a while. And when motherhood came in, that's when my true awakening started, in 2007, well, 2006, when I was pregnant, and started to see things a little bit differently. So I started to pull back, obviously take care of myself because I was pregnant. And when my daughter was born, it kind of inspired me, or should I say, it did inspire me to start a kids clothing line. So when I started doing this kids clothing line, that only lasted for a little bit. It was called Rock and Crib. And I started making things that were more alternative for mothers and, you know, parents in general that weren't really into like pastel colors and more into the boldness. And I started doing more events. I started vending. I started doing all these little things, and I was like, oh, this is really cool, you know. But what was missing though was the enlightenment. Like, a lot of people were still stuck in this like 3D world, and it was just very like, everyone was very wounded. Like, I was like the wounded warrior at the time, but I didn't understand what was going on. So as the process started, you know, going of being a mother, by the time my daughter was in kindergarten, I was like, I can't live this lifestyle anymore. It's draining. It's not good for me. So I fell back into the beauty industry, from being a promoter, a bartender, and all that stuff in the music industry, as well as a band manager, and try to be more of like what corporate America, with the whole white picket fence, and what people of society would consider like being a good parent. Like, you need to have X amount of money, you need to be in this certain environment, you need to wear, you know, more of an executive approach to life, right? And I did it, and it's not that I didn't enjoy it. I love the beauty industry. I love, you know, being a salon manager and educating people on products and promotions, and still being involved in the community and doing different events and stuff. It was really cool. And I always had my little, like, they would call it like my hippie side, and my little mysticism of like, you know, astrology. I always like related things to like people's zodiac signs. That was like my first real awakening of connecting with people. Was like, I'm a Sagittarius fire sign. And so with people, if I knew what their astrology sign was, like say they were Cancer or they're Aries, I knew the basic characteristics of how to speak to them, because I kind of knew like the roots of who they were. Doesn't mean it totally was them, but I could understand them. So that's when I started seeing that I was becoming more of like a counselor and mentor, when I worked at a beauty school as a student salon coordinator that oversaw a lot of the students there, and they would come to me for help. And so I started realizing, like, I have some kind of gift. However, I was in a very toxic relationship that taught me good and bad, you know, not to put that person down, but I realized a lot about myself, that I was lacking self-love. I was lacking self-confidence. And so when I started to tune inward, when we broke up in 2016, and I also had my aha moment of going sober because I was literally shaken awake. April 21st of 2016 was something that I did that was like a poor choice while drinking, and energy overtook me. And I believe that there's other things out there besides, you know, just humans. And so, and things that are of high vibration and low vibration. And because I was drinking and I wasn't even that drunk, my light attracts everything. And because I was wounded, it took over and made me do something that I wasn't so proud of. So that's when the big purge of spiritual awakening occurred. What pretty much like what everyone's going through right now globally in 2020 is what I went through in 2016, the whole dark night of the soul and really digging deeper into myself, you know? And so from that point forward, I just made an oath to myself and I said, you know what? I got to work on me. I got to really come back to self-love. I tried dating, I tried doing other things here and there. And then finally in 2018, I went on a spiritual quest to Sedona, Arizona by myself, met with a shaman, and he's like, you know, it's time, right? And I was just like, what do you mean? You know? And he's like, it's time. He's like, it's time for you to really step into your purpose. And you know what it is. You have this medicine woman background. I was already going to school for like energy healing and taking classes and courses to kind of understand how my gifts work, you know, and kind of gravitate towards them in a different way and utilize them and different tools and modalities. Because my biggest thing was I didn't know how to articulate what I was feeling or seeing. And a lot of people couldn't help me, so I had to figure it out. So moving forward, I ended up in 2019 in March, I ended up starting my own business called Divinity by Jacklyn Nicolle, which is a high vibrational product line that kind of pushed me in the right direction to where I am now. And I had to quit corporate America. And since then, it's been a very interesting, but very joyful, blissful, and very fulfilling adventure of really just being a full-time spiritual healer, helping people, doing community meditation events, you know, personal private sessions in nature. Fortunately, nature is kind of closed down at the moment, but there's still alternative ways. I got really into like, you know, fresh alkaline water and using that in my products. And from that point forward is where I'm at now, is that I really was able to see that all the stuff I went through, now I'm able to be that person who can help anyone on any spectrum of the rainbow if they're willing and ready to be open to receive the healing that they need, because you heal yourself. I'm just the catalyst. I'm just the guidance, and I can help anyone from the gangstas to the everyday stay-at-home mom and dad to corporate America to an actual other, like, you know, spiritual mystic or anyone on the spectrum. Like, there's nobody that I can't help, including men, including children. And that's where I was, you know, gifted the name Not Your Average Healer, because I'm able to help people and to really dig deep into their soul to bring out that true divinity within them. So that's my little story in a nutshell.
Yeah, you articulated that very well. Thanks.
Thank you.
Can I just ask you to turn your volume down a little bit? I'm getting some feedback.
Oh yeah,
I'll
definitely.
turn mine down too.
Is that better?
Yeah, that's fine. That's cool.
Okay, if you need me to put my headphones on, I can do that as well.
Oh, it seems fine.
Okay.
Yeah, no, thanks for sharing. That was wonderful. You know, we all go through very similar struggles here, but at the same time, it's very individual because the appearance of the experience is always unique according to, you know, where we're born and all these little variables. But what we learn is basically is very similar, but at the same time it's unique because because the little things are different. So it's cool to hear how you did it, because it's like you weren't really trying. You kind of just like organically did things that you enjoyed, and then things turned up, and then, you know, it's different things happened over here, and you kind of just went over there and kind of moved pretty smoothly to have a situation that works for you, to where you can support others while they support you. So it's really, really cool. Yeah, thanks for
Thank
sharing.
you. I really appreciate that, because the way that you just explained it, I never really looked at it that way in that aspect, but it is true. It was a very organic way of doing it. And I think there were times on an unconscious level, that I was still resisting that change because it was already hard for me to be accepted for being who I was. So I was trying my best to like blend in. I used to have black hair and I loved all those funky colors. I've had every color of the spectrum, you know, and I like to be bold and bright. But then I also, you know, had, because I was in the beauty industry and the music, I wore a lot of black. And black, you know, is very protective, but it's also like, you know, keeping me like hidden. And I didn't realize I was doing that because when I was younger, I was all about the neon colors and vibrance. And then I went into like this mode of like protection unconsciously because I needed to heal and I wasn't ready to be seen, because every time I was seen, I was labeled as weird or crazy or abnormal, like you're crazy. Like, and, you know, no one really honored or appreciated like my clairvoyance or my intuitive abilities or anything. They just thought because they weren't ready, they projected on me, and I was very sensitive, you know, and took it the wrong way. So I've learned.
Yeah, it's interesting. The world is a funny place,
Mm-hmm.
and it has been, and you know, there's a lot of things changing right now. But, you know, it's like I said, we have these similar experience. Actually, I will ask you to put your earphones on, though.
Okay, let me put them on. Give me 1 moment. Hold on. Let's see. It's the bounces. There we go.
Mhm.
Okay, is that better?
Yeah, that's great. Thanks.
Okay.
Yeah, it's cool what you said because, like, you know, like I see myself. You know, I went to high school. I had friends. I was sociable and things. But when I left a year early. My friends, they stayed at school. I went to university, and that was, I didn't like that either. So I went traveling, you know, and I got all these experiences, and I would come back to New Zealand and talk to my friends, and it's like they weren't even really interested in seeing what I had not just the experience, but what I had recognized and understood and learned from the experiences I had had. They were still interested in just like partying and all this stuff, you know. And so it's funny because we're sociable creatures, humans. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you look at monkeys; they're always in a pack, and you know, just naturally, you watch people they're sociable. Even if you're introverted, at some point you want to socialize with other people. You know, that's the way we are. And so, and this process of waking up to what really is, you know, to what life really is, you kind of go through this process of seeing what it isn't. But what it
Mm-hmm.
isn't is destroying the natural environment. That doesn't make sense, you know, destroying what supports you instead of supporting what supports you. But everybody has been out there agreeing to destroying the natural environment that supports them, you know, pollution in the oceans, all these things that have been going on, when you can make better choices like yourself. And so, you know, it's hard when you can see these possibilities of things that you can do that make sense, but they're so far out to other people. Like what you're doing now, you couldn't have done it, you know, 12, 13 years ago, whatever, because, you know, it's like people weren't really ready for it either, you know,
Yep.
kind of collectively, you know, experience this realm together and become more aware together. And so, yeah, you've done it in your own way, and you've helped people along the way. Do you want to share some of your favorite experiences you've had with helping people, just so people can get the view of like what you do and how people can, you know, just help themselves and things. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for all that, you know, and it is great to connect with other like-minded individuals that I could feel all your energy, and it's just so beautiful and pure and radiant. And you really like, I get that like beach vibe from you. Like that's the kind of like energy I get from you. You're just very go with the flow, you know? So thank you. I really appreciate you. How I help people a lot is I specialize in what I've realized that my main gifts are. And especially in a world full of technology, a lot of people like, you know, this one-on-one through the internet. And so I have clients that I'm building, actually clients more so now than ever, that are more global based through the internet, through Zoom, through, you know, FaceTime kind of thing. But I feel more that it's really important to have physical touch, in-person presence, and being surrounded in nature, because nature is power, nature is healing. Like that's the problem with the world right now, especially with all the stuff that's going on. They're trying to shut down everything because the dark forces that may be are trying to take away all the things that are actually powerful and healing to us, and put fear, my throat chakra, and fear into a lot of, you know, ways that we can heal ourselves. So, you know, without getting in depth with that, you know, with me, I like to do what they call like aura cleanses. And my studies stem from Native American shamanism to Mexican curantismo to even ancient Egypt, and utilizing all these different, you know, cultures in between and different generations and times to kind of create my own personal healing and elixir that I have with my product line. So what I like to do is, like say you were going to come and have a one-on-one with me in person, you know, I would set you up in nature, make you nice and comfy, whether you want to sit up or lay down, depending on your preference. Oh, sorry, my phone. I just had someone try to come in and I was trying to push it out. Apologies. Anyways, and so what I would like to do is, like, you know, I get you situated. I kind of guide you on a little guided meditation to connect with Mother Gaia and to really ask for her healing and connecting to the cosmos. And then I'll get some herbs to kind of like smudge around you to clear your energy as you're envisioning all this. And, you know, then I have my my product line, Divinity, where I have a sacred anointing oil that I was guided by one of my great spirit fathers. I call him a Winkakai because when I met him in Sedona about 3 years ago, almost, he woke me up like I was having like an astral travel vision, whatever you want to call it, dream state. But when I woke up, he was there at the door, and I saw him in a white wolf. And he was like, oh, Winkakai. So I was like, that's my spirit father, this native chief, you know. So in honor of him, and he guided me to create this product that helps protect people energetically. So I have them put it around their wrists, their ankles, and behind their neck, because that's where energies come in. And if you think about it in the physical world, in Western medicine, they always say, you know, cover your neck so you don't get any airborne colds, right? Or viruses. Well, it's really all energy that's going into the back of your throat chakra area that's connected to your heart and other, you know, alignments of the chakras. So I utilize that to protect them. And then I always like to highlight Mr. B. Then I like to just have them sit there, and whatever comes up in the process to help them work on, whether it's inner healing, whether it ends up being womb healing, man or woman, some kind of trauma, you know, some people have sexual abuse issues, or, you know, just whatever is going on with them within. And majority of the time it's just self-love, learning to recognize our power. And so I help to empower them and not focus on the negative, because in my experience, I've noticed, like in the very beginning, and I was like, I can see energies, or I can see things that, you know, are not good in their aura. But that was more scary, because what happens is that people end up focusing on the negative. Like, oh my God, I have this attached to me, because I used to do that too. Like, what do you mean I have, you know what I mean? Like, what do you mean there's energies on me? So, and then you put that in your subconscious mind, and then you end up attracting more of that. And you have this fear of this scarcity that something's wrong with you. When we're not, we just have to be more in tune with what's going on. So I tend to now focus on the beauty of them, and to really embrace that true love within, and that divinity that will shine without. And I like to call it the diamond light frequency is what I work with. That's one of my, I'm a starseed, so that's what I connect with a lot, is the diamond, and that's a sacred geometry. And I always tell people to kind of like shield themselves in this diamond light frequency, but think of like being like a transformer, you know, the transformers that come in and like, you know, turn into like cars or whatever, and they become these big robots. I tell them, think of this diamond being like a transformer, like you're coming in, you're turning into this diamond light, and it's like full of mirrors, so that we can repel anything that is projected to us, so that we are not absorbing, we're just observing, and we're just, whatever people try to throw at us, low vibration, dark, jealousy, envy, it doesn't matter. You know, we just send it back with love, but they get their own karma, so to speak. So, because we are, whatever we think, whatever we put out into the universe is what's going to come back. Sometimes instant gratification, sometimes it takes time, depending on your journey. So instead of fearing, you know, the reaper, or fearing things that are going to happen or whatever, just be a good human by working on yourself, and realize that the ultimate lesson in life is judgment. Like we, you know, we've been judged, especially as light workers, healers, and, you know, sensitive souls on this planet, that we didn't realize that we weren't trying to judge people, but we were protecting ourselves, so we would project back, we'd be reactive. So I teach people how to really dig deeper, and to forgive themselves, and to forgive those energies, to forgive those lower vibrations, or people that weren't awakened to their enlightenment at the time. You know, like some are just unconscious, and some are just evil intended. I believe there is dark and light in everything, you know, polarity. And once we forgive and we send love and we just send it to source, whatever your belief system is, and, you know, God, a higher power, you know, Jesus, Buddha, whatever it is, you give it to them and you just live your life freely. But that's how we reclaim our power. And especially with what's going on right now, everyone's in a fear mode. I'm like, send more love and forgiveness. Come on, guys, let's do this as a global. And that's what's happening. So I do the, you know, the aura cleanses. I utilize my product line. I also have a soul elixir spray that I spray at the very end after I activate their third eye chakra and kind of connect with their temples and their light body with the touch feeling, because that's where touch comes in and kind of just senses them to be more centered within. And I seal them in with this divine healing tonic that is made with alkaline water. And I actually have some behind me I can show you that are brewing, because everything is in my backyard apothecary. So like this is with, these are orchids, purple orchids, and it's just in alkaline water. And then I'll end up adding like essential oils if I need to, just for the smell to enhance. And it's blessed in pure divinity, and I'm guided to do it. So I don't just make a product just because I have it. I have to really feel it and feel in tune. And what's really interesting about my product line is that, like for this one, for example, I've been wanting to have tuberose. So where I work 2 days a week, I work at a floral shop called The Kind Flowers and Lay in Orange County. And I've been wanting tuberose. It's from Hawaii. It's really hard to get. It's like illegal to have. So, you know that song by Judas Priest, Turbo Lover? I'm calling this one Tuber Lover. So it's really has a really good natural scent. So I'm really excited to work with this, because this is going to really help with anxiety and help with depression and help with all of this fear that people are going through. And it's funny because I was guided to make all these products before all this stuff happened to really help people. And the really interesting thing about my product line and my gifts is that all my past lives have come into this life. And in doing so, sometimes I don't even know what I'm making, to be completely honest. I just wake up, I feel guided, I'm channeled, I go and make it. And then I actually do the research after if I don't know what it is. And it's exactly what the intentions are while I'm doing it. It's really phenomenal. And I'm like, whoa. So as I started realizing what my gifts were, I'm able to help people on a deeper level, because I've been doing the work. I'm not saying that nobody else does it, but the more we are in tune with ourselves, more love, more divinity, and more pureness, because I'm taking care of myself now. I'm going on 4 years sober. You know, I don't like to always tell this, but I even took a vow of celibacy, because it's really important for us to not intermingle those energies, you know, and especially if I'm going to be a healer, and I know that people are healing themselves, but if I'm not a clear channel and I'm putting that on and I'm interfering or being distracted by something that maybe I had a tendency to attract wounded, you know, warriors, wounded people as well. And until I was able to get here, now I'm able to attract higher vibrational people. So when I do meet that person, I know it's going to be the right person for me. You know, I had to recognize that within and realize that everything that we do has to be here first. And people are always looking for without, you know, with love, with you know, abundance and money, finances and stuff. And all those things are temporary if you're not fully here. So it's been a really beautiful journey. I'm very grateful to offer my aura cleanses to the public in private session and in group, even through, like I said, you know, virtual, but I love the in-person. It's just something more powerful in that moment. And then I have my product line, my high vibrational product line called Divinity by Jacklyn Nicolle. And I've actually created some tinctures too that are all flower-based and herbs. No cannabis, but I was guided that these are going to be very potent, just as if it were cannabis, because of the way I created it. I'm actually going to be flavoring them this weekend, but those took about 8 weeks to process, and now I have to do another set of process and distillation. But it's beautiful, and doing this has brought me so much fulfillment. It's changed me as a parent even. My daughter, you know, I've been helping her through she's going to be 13 in May, and she's gone through her transition of hormones, and she's able to she's so wise. She helps her friends now. And she just sits there, and even though, you know, kids can be rebellious with all that thing, like, oh gosh, my mom's so weird, or oh, my dad, or whatever. But I see her, you know, doing it in her own way that works for her. And she's helping people at such a young age. And that's what we're supposed to do. You know, I'm here to help people to come back. Doesn't matter what age you are. We all make mistakes. We all make poor choices. But the time is now that we own up and be accountable and dig deeper and forgive. So as I'm able to help people do that, that's how we're changing this planet to bring more peace on this planet, to be the light workers, to be the rainbow warriors. You know, I call myself a warrior of love, because I'm strong and I'll face anything that's dark or whatever it needs to be, my own demons and the ones outside this world or in this world, with more love. Just like Wonder Woman, it's to conquer it with love and forgiveness, not physical. It doesn't have to be, like with weapons and stuff. And don't get me wrong. If someone's trying to attack me and it's my life or not, I'm going to protect myself by, self-defense, but I don't stand by war, and I don't stand by, all that, all that violence, like I used to be a fighter, back in the day, but I didn't know better. So now that I know, I'll do everything I can with the power of my love, my light, and just to help accelerate other people to elevate higher. So that's kind of a little bit of like what I offer in that sense. And then, like I said, with the virtual, I offer spiritual mentoring if people are open to that. But in all actuality, I just like to help people in any way I can. And it doesn't always have to be in a spiritual, it's gonna fall, it's getting a little windy. In a spiritual, like cliche way, it can be anything from like, just helping someone in a more practical and logical way because they're not open to really understand the spiritual aspects of like chakras, let's say. And if someone's always getting strep throat, I could just be like, okay, well, what are you holding back? What truth are you not living? You know what I mean? And try to see like where, they are more passionate about, and try to meet them at their level, but not lower my frequency, but just see how I can relate their current environment and situation to a way where they're going to come into alignment on their own. And then when they realize that, then they'll reach back out to me like, how'd you know that? Like, well, the indication was your short strep throat is stemming from throat chakra, communication issues, and so forth. You know what I mean? So it's been a very beautiful experience. I'm still learning, I'm always a student, and I, just had to learn how to master myself, but I'm just getting in a deeper level of that in a more, I guess, confident way of really being seen and not being scared to be seen, and empowering others to do the same. Hope that makes sense.
Yeah, no, you did great just now. I'm sure anybody that listened to it will be very grateful. It's very cool, because it's like you said, you can't do anything for anyone else. You can share your experiences, and you've had a lot of experience. Like you said, you've done a lot of work on yourself. So you can share that experience with others, and you can make these things, like you said, these cleansers, these products to help people. And it's your intent is there to help people when you're making them. So that is there in the potions, or whatever you want to call them.
The elixirs.
Elixirs, sorry, the tinctures and things, and that there's that, like, that intent is there, and that's what really charges it. But at the same time, there is a consciousness in the plants and the whole process of making it, and kind of synergistically can really help people. And it's very, very cool. And it's like you're telling people they have to do the work themselves. You just help them. And it is a big help, especially if people want it. That's the thing. There's a really cool exchange there, and then people can go off, and they can, with the gratitude they get from being helped, they can go and do anything. I read a lot of books by this guy called Tom Brown Jr. I don't know if you've heard of him, but
I haven't.
he was taught by a Native American guy who, his name was Stalking Wolf, or grandfather. And he was a Southern Limpin Apache, and he grew up, his parents were killed when he was like 2 years old near Mexico. And so this tribe was nomadic, and they went to the mountains of northern Mexico. And he had all these far out experiences in the dream state when he was a young kid, And, one day he woke up and he like touched a deer, and the elders watched him and they couldn't believe it. And so that's how he got the name Stalking Wolf. Aww. And anyway, he got told in the dream state when he was like 14 that his mission for that lifetime was going to be to walk the Americas, the whole lifetime basically, and find all the common truths and all philosophies and all physical skills. And so he did that. He walked all the way down to Argentina, back and forth, up to Alaska, back and forth for 64 years until he met Tom Brown, who was his like one student he taught everything to for a bunch of years. And he met Tom Brown when Tom Brown was 8 years old. So he taught Tom everything since he was so young. and grandfather, he learned a lot of healing modalities, and his favorite herbs were sage and sweetgrass.
Mm-hmm.
But he could heal people without the herbs too. He would just put a couple of drops of water in a glass for somebody, and just for putting his intent in that glass of water, he will heal their cancers and everything. He just touched them a little bit. It was so easy to him because he was so in tune with the natural environment. He never went in a house his whole life. He lived in a hut. He caught all his own food, or he foraged and everything. He was so in tune with the natural environment. It was just so cool reading these stories that he would talk to the rocks to find the fossils and things like this, and it's so cool to hear these stories. And just like yourself, you're intuitively you're creating these things, and then later you go and find the so-called scientific, or the backup for these things, for the literal side of people and for ourselves too, because we still have that literal part while we're here in creation. So it's very cool. I myself, I really like herbal medicines and all sorts of things. I like fermenting wild herbs, and it's great. I actually just made a video about it yesterday, and it's so cool once you get this connection with the natural environment, to where it like brings you alive, and you're like alive with the earth, and you're connected with the elements, like the sunshine and the earth and the wind and the fire, and then there's the ether beyond that. It's so cool because all life is alive, and it's all supported by the true reality life is, everywhere, everything it is. And it's just how you perceive and interact with that endlessness that life is. And your creation isn't endless, but anything is possible in creation. And so just by seeing what you can imagine that is possible, and then you just keep seeing what you imagine is possible, and then here in the physical, things will just pop up, and you just decide, and you just go this way or that way. But your intent to create a benefit for everybody, that's simply all that we need to intend to do. That's your real awareness. That's your real being, and just sticking with that, and everything works out. You go through these things that might seem hard or difficult, but they're really nothing, and you learn from them. You become more aware, and it's really a cool process. And when you learn to see how it works, you can just live off of gratitude, and it's so cool. It really is. And yeah, I mean, I'd like to talk to. I mean, I know there's all these people you've helped, but it would be cool to meet them. I mean, you have testimonials out there. People can watch videos or something, because it's really important that people learn just how, like, you can do it all yourself, but when you get together and you have, like, it's like there's a saying that's like, you can go, when you're alone you can go quickly, but when you're in a group you can go further, and so yeah, when you share experience with people, it's really, really cool. And I see from what you just shared that you've had all of this experience with so many people, that when someone else comes in, like you said, wherever they've been through, wherever they're from, you can help them if they want help, because that's what you're here to do. So it's very, very cool.
Thank you. And on that, to touch on that too, is that what I had to realize, and I'm sure you're aware of, and a lot of people are coming into, is that energy is a real thing, right? And so the thing is that there's it's a same energy, that can be represented in many different situations, right? So the reason why I'm able to relate to a lot of people is because I can recognize what that energy frequency is and know where they're at based on where their journey is at that time. So I'm like, okay, this person is lacking self-love and confidence, and they've been the people pleaser for so long. And it doesn't matter what the situation is, it could be different from mine, but there's a lot of similarities. So then I'm able to target that energy within themselves based on their chakra system, based on whatever I see or I'm intuitively guided on. And it just hits home for them, and I'm not perfect. Sometimes I might misread things, depending on like what's around them or what's going on in their mind, and depending on how open they are. Do you know what I mean? Because I've had people try to come and then they're not open. And in the very beginning of my, journey of becoming a healer, so to speak, I would be starting to second guess myself. And then I had to realize, I'm like, wait a second, this person's not opening up. So I'm not really feeling anything, or they're, you know what I mean? So I'm actually feeling their doubt. their skepticism, which is totally fine. I've realized it's okay to be a skeptic, because you should question everything, and you should always, you know, do your own research and take what resonates and discard the rest, because, you know, we're not here to be sheep. We're here to bring more enlightenment, evolution based on, like you said, our own personal experiences. And if we're all following each other and only one way of living, we're not really living. We're living in a box, and we're living sheltered, and we're doing, well, so-and-so says this. I'm like, no, I take from everything. Like, I do a lot of reading on organized religion and different forms of spirituality, so to speak. I even go into the depths of like what people are so scared of doing, is like reading about satanicism and why do people worship that. And then the funny thing is that in these things is that there's a lot of what it's called the Hermetic principles, right? Have you heard of the Hermetics?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and those are the true laws of the universe, in my personal opinion. And that stems from, you know, Thoth to Hermes to what was the other one, like they called oh my goodness, I want to say Mercury, is that right? No, not Mercury, something. Anyways, I don't know, I'm having a brain blank out for the moment. Anyways, but a lot of it's just a lot of ancient knowledge. And then when we bring in the Native Americans, who are very connected to the earth and to, you know, the wildlife, and connecting to the plants in a different way. And then you have the Mexican Correntino side that's really connected to the Aztec and Mayan, you know, culture. Then you're able to like really tap in and kind of get a little bit of everything. But they're all common denominator is, you know, nature and the powers of nature, and love, and Mother Gaia being the most nurturing asset, and then connecting to the cosmos, the stars and the alignments and whatever they may be, right? But the thing is that a lot of people don't want to dig into themselves, and we've been so programmed and conditioned to not look at the dark side of ourselves, and to not ask questions. And why do people worship this, or why do people look into that? It's like, once we start to realize, okay, there's polarity in everything. And sometimes people that say they're light workers, that are in organized religions or the spiritual community as a whole, are really not having pure intentions, because they figure out a way how to articulate things, but they weren't applying it to their life, right? But when we're not awakened to that, we're misled and we're misguided. And what I try to tell people, especially my clients and people that I have like in group meditations, I'm like, don't worship me. You can admire me, you can respect me, but do not worship me. I am not this like person that you're supposed to like worship yourself. You know what I mean? Like, love yourself. Like, don't do that, because what you're doing is you're giving your power away. You know, you're making it seem that only that person, only me or whoever, or you have the power to say. That's not true. We all are capable of tapping in. Now you can, like I said, respectfully admire and be inspired by someone. That's great. That's beautiful, because we should have that more in the community, instead of people being in a competitive mind state. There's a healthy competition, and then there's obviously a toxic that's not very healthy, right? So it's like a matter of like just uplifting, but and realizing that we are that divine God presence, so to speak, within ourselves, you know. And a lot of people, you know, just like, once they're able to be open to recognizing and being accountable for the things in their life, you know, sometimes we attract a lot of negativity because on a subconscious level, we don't think we're worthy of it. So we're giving and giving, even though on a conscious level, we think we're this really good person, which we are. But in the subconscious, we're not mentally strong. And to be mentally strong and to be spiritually strong in some kind of faith, right, is how we are able to really achieve and manifest what we want into our life. Because when we're strong mentally and on our subconscious level, and we've cleared that, no one could tell us different. You know, we may be able to, like how having this conversation, I can start to see things differently a little bit more and get more insight deeper into my own self. However, but I'm not going to be absorbing things that aren't good for me. Not saying there's anything bad, you know, but in a sense of you were trying to like dictate what my beliefs were, I would be like, well, I respect your opinion, but I don't believe, you know what I mean? That's just not my belief, and that's okay. We're not, you know, it's okay. But what's happened is that people tend to question themselves. Wait, was I wrong? Was I wrong? And then you just gave that person all your energy. You just gave them that power. And then you put that fear and that scarcity in your subconscious mind. And now you're going to attract things that are not so great for you all the time. But that's part of the journey. You know, that's a part of really mastering your self-love, really mastering what is considered right and wrong in your choices. You know, what really I tell a lot of my clients in the world right now And it's really, I think, coming as a shocker to a lot of people, especially with all the global awareness of this coronavirus epidemic and all this stuff, the great awakening from the, you know, the age of Aquarius that's happening, the new dawn of the new earth energies, is that sobriety. Like, you really we have to be disciplined in wanting to be better. And if people are dabbling in alcohol and smoking, you know, marijuana and doing drugs and taking all these hallucinogenics, like when they're going to these festivals and stuff, and there's nothing wrong, I'm not judging anyone, but in my personal opinion and what I've been guided on my journey is that until you know what you're doing, and until you know how to respect these other energies that are spirits, right? We're when we don't know who we are, and we're wounded too, and we think because you know, like, even there's been experiences with people that do the plant-based medicines, like, you know, ayahuasca, and then they do like the frog medicine, what's it called, combo or whatever, like all these things. I've never been, and there's nothing against it, there is medicinal properties and healing modalities to that, but you need to be with someone who's very experienced and knows what they're doing, and you need to do your own research and really be prepared for that, right? But a lot of people abuse it, in my personal opinion, and they use it all the time because it became like a trend. Do you know what I mean? All of a sudden there's all these like spiritual cliches. And like I said, I'm not judging anyone. It's all part of our journeys and lessons, but we've been guided just even with like marijuana. Marijuana is a very beautiful medicinal property. And when I was younger, I abused it because I was escaping from my mind. And then I would have all these really not so good things happen to me because I was surrounding myself with low vibrational people and really a lot of toxicity, and I was wounded. So I was seeing a lot of dark things, you know, before I knew who I was. And I would be scared at night when I would sleep, because every time I was sleeping, I would get interrupted by something. And so when I would tell my family, they just looked at me like I was fucking insane, you know, excuse my language. But I was just like, oh my God, what's going on? And then when I realized, once I went sober, you know, all these things that started happening, and I started seeing the world more clearly. And it was like, look, if you're going to smoke to heal yourself, like using cannabis, even tinctures and all that stuff, even the stuff I use, my herbal plant-based, like through flowers and like herbs like mint and lemongrass, those kind of things, it's non-cannabis, you still have to set an intention, and you still have to honor and respect yourself, because it's still an energy. It's still a spirit, because we're all connected that way, right? To nature. So if I'm not in a good space and I'm taking this stuff, you know, abusing it, the energies that are happening now are more so ever present than they were at the time of my, you know, awakening, so to speak, that we're going to be slapped in the face pretty much by the universe being like, what are you doing? Because if your intentions are not pure, you're going to get that instant reaction of what you just put out there. Does that make sense? And so a lot of people are abusing because they want to drown their sorrows. They think it becomes a trend of being cool. It's very egotistical. And then all of a sudden I'm realizing, I realized for myself that I was giving my power away. I was bringing in these things. So I'm seeing a lot of my clients who have, you know, a drinking issue, or, you know, they smoke a lot, they're considered stoners, or, you know, they like to go to festivals a lot and they take all these psychedelics because they want to have fun and they see all these cool things. That's great. Take mushrooms and stuff. That's great. But if you're not being guided the right way, it could also turn into something really, really bad, you know, and you lose control, because our souls will leave our body. If an energy comes in, so in my experience that made me go sober, I just want to share this with you, is that, you know, my ex-boyfriend was driving my car, and this is not a proud moment at all, but I literally was like, I guess, trying to escape my life, but I wasn't even that drunk, and he was driving us home after a day of spending time in the bars, and we had eaten and everything, but I blacked out. So my soul left my body, and this entity came in, and it literally made me argue and say things I don't remember, probably not nice things, because it was feeding off my insecurities, because I was very insecure in that relationship, because there was a lot of things that, you know, were going on at the time. And it made me be reactive. And what I did is I pulled the e-brake in my car, like my ex-boyfriend was driving it. And that is when I realized that I had some spiritual gifts that tripped my ex-boyfriend out, because in that moment, I don't remember pulling the e-brake, obviously, right? But we were spinning, and all I remember is that I had this huge clear quartz crystal that I used to always wear. And I was just like, I could never take it off, just like I have certain ones I don't take off now. And that crystal, I swear, saved my life amongst my benevolent sacred ancestors and spirit guides and angels that were watching over me. And because my higher self tapped in, and all I remember is that it was black and we were spinning. I knew we were spinning, but I didn't understand what's going on. And I had my hands up like this, like over here more. And all I could feel was like this hot energy coming out, and it felt like bars of energy. I couldn't see it, but I could feel it. And whatever I was doing, I swear, as crazy as it sounds, I was balancing the car from flipping with my own hands. And all I remember is looking at my ex-boyfriend, and I guess I was saying how to drive, but it was like my higher self coming in and trying to tell him how to drive it out so we wouldn't flip, because we were going like 60 miles per hour and he was wasted, you know what I mean? And really intoxicated, should I say. And his eyes were so big, but I thought I just looked at him to see what was going on. I didn't know what was going on. It was like in slow motion. Then when we stopped, I tapped back in, like that my higher self came out. And then all of a sudden I was like, what the heck? I wanted to get mad. And I realized my hand was on the e-brake, and that just scared me sober, you know, and I was like, what the heck? So we pulled over, and I guess what it all happened is I had to go to the bathroom, and he wouldn't pull over, and it just triggered me, right? Because I was probably not being a nice person and saying things I shouldn't be saying. But it wasn't who I was. It was something else that was attacking me, but I wasn't aware of that. Do you know what I mean? So I was being projectile to other people. And I'm not saying that every single person's like that, but majority of the world right now is starting to recognize that a lot of their projection stems not only from being insecure or wounded within from traumas in the past or past lives that they need to clear in this life, is when they're intoxicating and you know, taking in things that are altering the state of mind. And that, again, it goes to your mental you know, stability, so to speak. Like, are you strong here? Are you weak? So I had some things on a subconscious level that I wasn't strong in, you know, or I didn't believe that I was. So moving forward, when that happened, you know, I ended up having a discussion with my ex-boyfriend the next day, and he was like, you're crazy. And I scared him, I think, like really scared him, and it scared me. I called my father, and I was just crying. It was like 5:30 in the morning, because I woke up and I thought I had a bad dream. I still had my clothes on. I'm like, oh no, I'm home. Because I was like, man, I could have went to jail. You know, I could have killed us. We both had a child. He had a son and I had my daughter. We could have, like, both our kids could have been orphans, you know, or, you know, worse than that, we could have hurt someone else, right? Harmed or injured someone, and that would have not been cool. So I had to do a lot of forgiveness. But I called my dad, and it was the first time I ever admitted that I had done something wrong, because I always kept things from my family because I didn't want them to look at me bad, right? And so I just cried, and I was like, Dad, I think I need to go into a mental institution. Like, I really thought I needed some kind of help, because, you know, my ex-boyfriend just said I was just insane and all this stuff. And people always said that my whole life when I would black out, because I would become someone different. And it wasn't on purpose. You know, I'm a lover, but I just got taken advantage of because of my own wounds and so forth. And so in that moment, that's what really skyrocketed my ascension path to really being more enlightened and to help people. So I'm able to help a lot of people that are, you know, addicts and people that have been through abuse like that on themselves and from others. So it's been a very liberating experience. But at that moment, I knew that there was some kind of superhuman power that I had. And I felt like I was like an X-Men or something, like something in that sort. I was like, I don't know what just happened. And when I tried to explain it, it didn't make sense because I didn't know how to do it. But then I started meeting people that guided me through my journey to take classes, to do research, to look into Reiki, to look into different things. And now I'm able to use that as my main channel source. But I use it for everything, not just hands-on. You know what I mean? I use it for my products. I use it when I'm having this conversation. When people watch this, it's like a natural enchantment of love. You know, people are going to feel that energy exerting. And it's been a journey, you know, it wasn't anything overnight. That's what I must say. So people that are listening to this, just know that it starts with you, and there's no wrong time to start but now, and be patient with yourself, you know?
Yeah, that's great. You know, like, I like when you started off just before, you were saying how it's important people don't like give their power to other people, and like, you know, worship someone or look so much up to somebody. Like, there's all these people out there now. I mean, it seems funny to drop names, but, you know, like Teal Swan, Eckhart Tolle, you know, you hear people and they really love these people, and they quote them and they promote them. And, you know, people's experiences are valid. You know, I listened to Eckhart Tolle for a while when I was first, you know, starting to decide to see more. And his experience was cool. You know, he talks about how he was going to kill himself, when he said to himself, why can't I live with myself? And then he realized that there was two of him. There was the real him, and there was his self, his personal self.
shadow.
So he went from there, and he started to become more aware, and it was a big moment for him. But becoming more aware is an endless process. You don't just attain enlightenment like this. You can have these big moments where you recognize more, of course, but there's always more, because life is endless. It's endless, you know. And that's why there's no point in looking up or aspiring to someone as if they're better or bigger than you, because we're all just a part of life within the whole of life. We're all the same. The only thing bigger than us is the whole of life, but the whole of life is not like some individual. It's just all life, you know.
Yep.
It's so cool how it is. And yeah, it's like, and I like how you touched on the psychedelic thing with all these like festivals and things that go on. I haven't really been to many, but I've been to a couple, and one of them was a week long in New Zealand, and it was really, really cool, especially at the time. It's called Luminate. It's very, very cool. It's on top of a crystal mountain at the top of the South Island of New Zealand. It's like 5 hours from 6 hours from the nearest big city, and 2 hours from like the small one. And it's like, there's no police. There's no. It's just on a farm surrounded by a native forest. There's a cave with a river flowing underneath it. It's a very, very cool place, and there's no alcohol there. There was lots of cool workshops, lots of cool people. At the time, I didn't do any dancing. I like dancing, but I couldn't dance with a group of people. And even now, I don't know if I would dance with lots of people around. But you know, there was something for everybody, but it was so cool to see other people being okay with themselves, and then you recognize, wow, I can just be okay with who I am too, because we're all the same. Like, we're all just a part of life within the whole of life, free beings of real light, whatever you want to call it. But we're unique at the same time, and just be okay with your uniqueness. And and you know, what I see makes sense with myself is just, I want to be like the sun shining. The sun shining is like the coolest demonstration of what life is. It just shines with no attitudes, no ideas. It provides life. It feels great. You know, it's so cool. And so, yeah, I just try to be like the sun shining more and more. And so when the situation arises in a moment, you know, it's like, you don't have to like avoid the dark or embrace the light. It's like, no, just be like the sun shining. Just do what makes sense for everybody, every moment, you know. And things will happen. And these experiences, like you said, you created this situation subconsciously to where you had to have that experience of, you know, pulling the handbrake and flipping the car and realizing that you could control it with your awareness. And then it's like, oh, okay, I don't have to just go along on automatic like everybody else and drink and do all this stuff. Like, you realize, like, wow, I'm this awesome being and I can do anything, and I don't want to do this anymore. I want to do something that makes sense for everybody. And then you have more fun. You can enjoy this place in life, because the natural environment here is so cool. When you get there and when you watch a plant growing and a flower blooming, and then a fruit comes out and you get to eat that fruit, and it's so satiating because you fed it like, you know, good real minerals food, not organic fertilizers, and it satiates you, it nourishes you, and you get energized. There's this interaction with the natural environment, just breathing in fresh air, just swimming in the ocean, climbing a mountain, petting an animal, whatever it is. There's so many things. Anyone can figure out something that they enjoy. And for me, I just like to try everything. I pick up instruments, and I go for hikes. Anything. I just try anything, you know. But you can't be the best at everything, because, you know, someone's a musician since they're 3 years old. They spend all that time playing music. It's going to take you a long time to get as much experience to get the same amount of skill with that certain thing. So it's so like, I can look up to a musician and be like, wow, you know, this guy is so good at playing all these instruments and putting them together, looping, and it's so cool, you know. And you can be really grateful for that, and appreciative for their ability. but you're not like giving like, oh my god, like some people with celebrities, it's like, oh my gosh, I love this person, they're so amazing, oh, I would die to watch them play
Yep.
live, whatever. But no, it's just like, wow, that's so cool. But you know that there's something unique about you that no one else can, because you have had all these unique experiences, and from all that we've experienced, it's up to us to decide something to contribute to everybody else. And that's what you've done. You know, you've had all this experience, you've gained all this information and skills, and you put them together to help people, and everybody can do this in their own way. And now like it's happening because people have to. It's like people, the old system, it wasn't working.
Nope.
People didn't realize it, or they couldn't be bothered to make a better choice, and things just got to a certain point where cause and effect takes place, and here we are, and it's a fun time. It really is. And yeah, it's been really fun listening to you share your experiences. It's very, very cool. Yeah.
Thank you. You're so sweet. I love that how we connect on that stuff too. I was like, when you were talking about your own form of like, researching with like Eckhart Tolle. And, I read about, I want to say almost like 6 years ago, I had read The Power of Now. That was one of my first like spiritual enlightenment books. And it was really beneficial for me, and, I would like, see a quote from it, but I would always just give, I guess, acknowledgement for it, but I wouldn't worship it, just like you would say, like, so that's the difference in it too, is like, The Power Now taught me how to just be in that meditative state of mind all the time, and not in when chaos is going on, like right now in the world, I'm still at peace. I could still be still. I'm not going to allow my surroundings to change my energy. Instead, my energy is going to change that, you know what I mean? But it takes a lot of work. And so that is a true thing, and with the thing too, with this old paradigm shift that's really, ending, and with the new love, the feminine energies coming back in, because it's been masculine, and it's also been in control of the dark, lower vibration forces that may be for the past like 350,000 years or so. It's like we're finally stepping back into that creation energy, but really bringing in more equality, because it's not about just embracing the man or the woman. It's about embracing both of those energies within ourselves to have that sacred union, but also have that without in friendships such as yourself, and romantic partnerships with our family. Like, everyone plays a role, and I had to be such a man, at one point. Then I was too feminine at one point, and then I had to find that sacred union within myself, and I had that in 2018. So I've been able to play it out now and understand it differently. But now people have to understand and catch up to themselves to really recognize that, because a lot of people too, where I was misled, but it was part of my journey. So I don't blame anyone. I don't play the victim. But power, people chose power over love. And what power was like that money, control, greed kind of thing, like that you had to have a certain car, you had to have a fancy house, you had to make a certain amount of money to be considered powerful, right? But then they lacked self-love. They were very in their ego. They thought their, lack of a better word, shit didn't stink, but in actuality, they were the most insecure individual, right? So when I was going on this path, and I came into a position where I was starting to travel the states to open up franchises for a company that was a high-end barbershop for men, I, always stayed true to myself. And, I drive a Scion TC, and I love my Scion TC, and it's a stick shift, and it's just very, eco-friendly. Yeah. Do I want nicer things? Yeah, of course. Like I love it, but I don't need it. You know what I mean? And if I get it, it's because, I'm not going to put myself in debt just to have it to be considered cool. Like, that was the thing with me, is that I didn't care about that stuff. If anything, I want an old, classic car, like a Cadillac, DeVille convertible, fix it up, drive it around town and stuff, but something that I actually invested in and took time and learned how to build it. Do you know what I mean? Just like I had to learn how to build myself up, learn how things work in mechanics, and doing that maybe with my significant other one of these days when I meet that person, or with my friends, or whatever it is. But what I had to really come out of is this surrounding of that, even in my own family's upbringing, of being like, you have to be in the certain status quo to make it. Or like, what is your business blueprint? Like, my father would ask me, like, show me, like, what's your business plan? And I was like, my heart. my heart, my soul. I'm in the flow of my process. Like I told my dad, like, I love you, but I am never going to be able to give you the logical and practical approach that you are programmed or conditioned or to believe, because that's what you've been in for so long. And there's nothing wrong with that. However, I'm different. I'm in my creation energy and I'm going with the flow. I do have goals. I want to move to Flagstaff, Arizona next year so I can have a home, to whether it's renting or owning, that's on land. So I can have more of a garden, more space. But I'm not going to lie, I had to fall back and live with my family. I live with my grandma and my aunt right now, to come back into my feminine energy, because I was raised by, pack of wolves my whole life, been on my own since I was 18. But at 33, and at all ages, the age of 33, that's when I had my big awakening and going sober, and everything started to fall apart. I had my dark night of the soul, my tower moment. My daughter got really sick. She had appendicitis. And then I started just like, all these things were falling apart. I got, laid off from corporate America, because the universe was speaking to me saying, it's time for you to step into your purpose. This stuff no longer serves you. If you have nothing, if you don't have all this, like, money and all these materialistic things, who are you? And that's what's so beautiful, is that I was able to go through that, because that's what the world is going through right now. It's amazing, because I've been Jones it and stuff, and I'm taking a better high vibrational water in my home, right? Everything's delayed, and then everyone's losing their jobs right now, and people are in this really weird scarcity mind. And I keep on telling people, like, do your best to stay in your heart and enjoy this time to dig deeper into who you truly are, connecting with your family, your romantic partners, yourself, enjoying nature. And then all of a sudden they close nature because they don't want people to heal. They want people to be in fear so that they can win, right? Energetically, love has already won, the light won. But in the physical world, we still have to navigate through the actual experience. So I'm grateful to have experienced this numerous times, to understand it, to not fear it, but to help to hold and anchor that light and that love for people, and just be there for them if they're open to it. I'm not here to feed off people and make all this money that's not from a pure intention, but it's an energy exchange. So I always tell people, like, come reach out. And right now, because people are going through this financial, tower moment, I'm like, I'll work with you. Yeah, I have a set price. If you can pay it, cool. If you can't, talk to me. Money is negotiable. Money is energy. As long as we have some kind of energy exchange, even if it's you making me food and I give you a mentoring session, you know what I mean? Like, that's how we're supposed to live. And that's what I feel the higher powers we're experiencing as light workers and people that are awakened, to be more community based, to help each other, and then those that are in a fear base are freaking out because they're like, I don't have money, I don't have this, I don't have that. And then they're being greedy and they're going to stores and taking everything because they think we're going to have this like zombie apocalypse, and that the world's coming to an end, when it's not. It's just everyone's been waiting for this day, and biblical stance, they've been waiting for Jesus to return. Well, Christ consciousness has been here, and now it's ever so present. Everyone's awakening. The grid point activation has activated, and now it's here, and people just don't know what to do with it, And so it's just I kind of like got off track a little bit, but my point is just, when we see these people going through stuff, instead of judging them, we just have to hold space and have compassion for them. And sometimes you get challenged, even me being in my heart, sometimes there's people that come, they want to attack, because just like a lighthouse we still get dark energies, lower energies that want to come to us because we're this vibrant light. They're like, what is that? And then the minute they get our attention, they want to, take that energy. But instead, I'm just like, okay, well, I see where you're at, nothing but love. You know what I mean? And I just move on. But before I would absorb it, and then I'd be reactive to it, And so everything just plays a role. And, I'm just grateful to be here. I'm very, honored to be a part of this new timeline of history being made, coming back to the old ways of being and really seeing people shine. It's unfortunate that people have to leave and transition from the planet, but, it's a cycle of life, and it's just, that's the beauty in it. I'm not scared of death, and people are very scared of that. And I used to be at one point in my life, but I don't fear it anymore, because I understand how we work, and energy never dies. Our physical temple may leave, but we'll be reborn again if we want to, if that's our contract, And I really believe this is my last life. And I tell my daughter all the time, like, I really, speak to her, even though she thinks I'm weird sometimes. But I always tell her, if anything ever would have happened to me, how she can connect with me, how I would talk to her, and for her to not, I'm sure she would miss my physical, presence, just as I would with her if anything were to happen to her. But just know that we're always connected regardless. you know? And once I realized that and reclaimed that and understood it, and still I'm learning how to understand it without fearing it, you know, it's a beautiful thing. And then we won't have fear. We'll just understand life, you know what I mean? And just, I don't know, like just be really one with nature, one with others. And I used to be very triggered by when people would say we are one, because I would see people that were not of light and I'm like, I'm not like them, you know, like I would get so annoyed. But then when I realized later, I was like, there are dark forces out there. When people were trying to tell me there isn't, I said, I'm not one with them. I'm one with people on my frequency. You know, I'm one with the nature. I'm one with that. But there are different dimensions. There are different levels. So whatever frequency I'm on, I'm one with that. That's how I look at it. So that's my theory.
Yeah, it's very cool. You know, I see there's a lot of people right now that haven't like really gone out on a limb and really kind of tried to figure things out for themselves. And you know, like we have, where we've kind of been, you know, we kind of had to be separate from the larger masses of people who are deciding different things. So a lot of people now, I'm seeing from what you're saying, are going through experiences that, you know, we have had. Okay, it doesn't mean that, you know, we're better or anything, but from us having that experience, what I'm seeing that we can share, and I've heard other people say it, is that don't stress with where you're at. You know, if you because it happens, you know, where you're in a spot and you know that this isn't the ideal situation for you, and you know there's somewhere you can see that there's a better situation for you to be in to support yourself and the whole of life. Okay, but you can't see how to get there yet. And in a lot of ways, we still can't. You know, we can see, you know, this, you know, what we can create on this earth or whatever, wherever, just collectively with a pure intent, we can do amazing things and experience a wonderful life. But we can't see every step just yet. But it's just you just take it moment by moment, and it's always okay. You know, it's always okay here and now, because life is always new now. And if you spend too much time in the future, especially worrying or all these things, you're missing out on what you can experience and learn right now, because there's always something. You know, like I look back often, you know, I have these experiences and I'm like, wow, that was obvious. You know, why didn't I figure this out earlier? But it's fine. It's like, well, I just hadn't figured it out yet, but now I have, and now I can see even more from what I just learned. So yeah, it's really, really cool how life works. Yeah.
Oh, it's like ready to. We were very right. Oh, I think you froze.
Yeah, I think you're frozen too, but I hear you.
There you go. You're back. Yeah, sorry. I think you had froze and I thought you stopped talking. So I started talking and then I realized you were frozen. So now I think we're back on board. So I kind of missed what you had said. So I apologize for that.
Oh, I don't remember what I last said.
It's okay. No, but it's also too, it's like, I want to always express to people so much, especially right now, again, even though I just already had, you know, spoke about my experience with power versus money, or power versus love, is really to choose love right now. And even like you said, even though we don't know what's in the unknown, it's and to stay present in the moment and not dwell on the past, but have peace with the past, be still in this present moment and be love and light, and just be open to receive. And that's how we're in the flow. And if we know we're always going to be taken care of by the universe, by God, by a higher power, whatever your belief is, we will be, you know. And you know, everyone wants to have a certain amount of money to be considered rich and abundant, but richness and abundance is within yourself. That's fulfillment. And then other things are, you know, to have, you know, there's nothing wrong with, you know, having nice things, like I said, and having money, but as long as the intentions are pure and it's coming from what I say, good money, not what I would tell people it's like evil, you know, like, how did you get it? You know, did you step on people to get there? Were you lying just to get there? Like, you know, and some people are like, oh, fake it till you make it. And I'm not like that. That's never really resonated with me. I mean, I've been guilty of saying it before, but then I was like, no, I'm going to be it until I'm actually there. You know, I'm just going to be who I am and talk about my journey. And, you know, like, especially coming back home, not necessarily home, but being with my grandma and my aunt, with my daughter and I, has been a beautiful experience. But at the age of 33, there was a lot of pride in that, being like, oh my gosh, like I'm living with family right now. But you know what? It was the most beautiful thing, because I was able to help heal my ancestral lineage, you know, help to empower each other, help to really connect with my family, where I was very disconnected and kind of on my own and just really wanderous. Like I'm an adventurer. So I lost that connection and will only see them on the holidays. But now I'm able to like connect with everyone on different levels, depending on, you know, where they're at, and enjoy this time. You know what I mean? But it's like, it's really the power of love, self-love, and giving it out. And then we will have everything. And that's what's happening. And so beautiful for people like you and I, and people who have been doing the work, that have had lots of challenges. I've given my power away unknowingly, you know, to people by helping their businesses, or helping, you know, when I was in romantic partnerships that were one-sided, I always gave hope and faith that, oh, you know, they mean well, always giving it excuses because my heart was so big. But then realizing I was depleting myself, you know, and I had to come back in. And then when I did, you know, people didn't like to hear that or see that. So they're like, oh, you're being selfish. I'm like, no, I'm just putting myself first for once, you know, but it was never in a selfish, you know, bad intention. It was just to come back. So right now it's just really, you know, being mindful of the choices that we're making. Because if not, we're going to get, you know, our own personal karma, so to speak, through the laws of the universe right back to us. And the veil is very thin right now. So we got to keep our thoughts positive. We got to stay vibing high. We got to drink a lot of water, eat and take plant-based products, and just surround ourselves with like-minded individuals, you know, and people that will uplift us and not bring us down. And turn off the damn TV if the media is getting to you guys, because there's so much toxicity in that, you know.
Throw your TV out the window. Yeah.
Yes. I don't even have a TV. My family has TV, but I have Netflix and I have YouTube and social media, as in Facebook and Instagram, you know, to stay connected. But
Yeah,
that's it.
right. Yeah, social media is very useful, especially right now where, you know, we're spread out, and it's a great way to connect with people that are doing things that make sense. You know, for me, I always just put the whole of life first.
Mm-hmm.
Because that includes myself, you know, because
Yeah.
I'm part of the whole of life. So if I just put the whole of life first, that's what matters, and then I know I'll be taken care of because I'm a part of the whole of life, you know.
Yep.
Yeah, it's really cool. This has been fun. You've shared a whole lot. I don't know if there's anything else I can add. I know there was things I was seeing as you were saying them, but they come and go, and yeah, that's really cool. And yeah, I don't know. Do you want to share anything else here? Or?
I can just share if people want to connect with me further.
Of course,
Yeah, because we put a lot. I don't want to overwhelm people with all this information. I want it to kind of be where everyone can kind of understand it to where they're from, for the most part. And if anyone would like any, you know, continued support, whether it's virtual or in person, once this whole thing, I mean, I'm still open to doing services in person, whether it's in home or whatever, if I know them. We'll be wise about it. But when this whole epidemic passes over and we're able to be back in nature, I do offer a soul illuminating meditations in Hermosa Beach and private sessions, as well as my product line. I've never put it on a platform to actually like purchase, you know, where you can buy it there, because when I do my aura cleanses, I would do like events and then I'd have my product line there. So I'm actually working on doing like a Shopify or something of that sort to have my product present. But if you guys are interested in connecting with me, you can find me on Instagram. For my product line, it's called Divinity by Jacklyn Nicolle. Or you can go on Instagram as well and look up Not Your Average Healer, and it will show me, and it will say Jacklyn Nicolle, and then you can click on my bio and it will show you all my links to all my social media, my product lines, and the things that I stand for. For Facebook as well, you can look up Jacklyn Nicolle. I think actually my link is Jacklyn Nicolle 1111, if that makes it easier. But I do have a private group I just created in honor of my spirit father and Awinkakai. So it's called Awinkakai, which means awaken. So I have this group that I just started a couple weeks ago that I'm building to be more, you know, personalized, where we can talk about the stuff that you and I had talked to today, Henry, to kind of connect with people on different levels and kind of share my wisdom that I have. I don't have all the answers, but with all of us working together and whoever's open-minded to sharing and being, you know, like communicative in a sense of community. That was a weird word to say. And then we could do this all respectfully, with no judgment. Please feel free to follow that. That's also on my Facebook page and my Instagram. You'll find it. But otherwise, if you guys just need any advice, I'm always open to direct messages through Facebook or Instagram, or you can email me personally at notyouraveragehealer@gmail.com. Any questions, and then I'll answer a few. But if it becomes more of like a session, then we'll have to talk further on how we can better accommodate each other on an equal energy exchange. But just stay strong, stay a warrior of love, you know, stay out of your scarcity, and just remember that we control our mind and we can heal ourselves. And it's really just a matter of you being open to start to discipline and to leave things behind that no longer serve you. And it will feel like you're dying sometimes when you have to leave like a romantic partnership or a business, or, you know, because it's fear and there's energetic attachment in those that we need to clear and heal with love and forgiveness. And once we're able to do that, you're going to realize how strong you are. And to stand by yourself is the ultimate mastery of self-love, you know, and then once we're able to do that and release any codependencies, whether it be with, you know, alcohol or drug abuse or shopping or eating or, you know, being in different relationships all the time, we have to really find who we are so we can soar in this life and really awaken to our truth and our divinity and just be more love and peace on the planet. That's all in a nutshell.
Yeah, that's very, very cool. Very well put. And yeah, so
Thank you.
We'll have your name will be clickable on the side of the video or of the description here, and people will be able to contact you for sure. And this has been a lot of fun, and I'm sure we'll keep in touch, Jacklyn. This has been
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, this is Alkalise to Realize Talks, and we have Facebook groups too, Alkalise to Realize Community Group on Facebook, and there's also a YouTube channel, a Facebook page, and another group called Aged Year and the Philosopher's Stone and Plasma Gans. So
I'll make sure I add those too.
Fun groups of people that are really getting alkalized to realize. So we're having fun here, and this has been a lot of fun, Jacklyn. So we'll sign off here, and we'll keep in touch. And like I said, thanks again. This has been a lot of fun. Yeah.
Yes, and thank you, Henry, for taking this time and space to connect with me further. And one day we'll meet up and we'll go dance in the forest and stuff and be wild and free, because I'm all about dancing too.
If you come down here, you might see me on the cliffs by the ocean. I just kind of dance with the wind.
Yes, I do the same thing. I'm always like playing with the water, the movement. I'm always like moving it back and forth, because I tell everyone that's how we breathe, you know? So, but yes, thank you again. And thank you for everyone who's watching. And if you guys have any questions, just reach out. Nothing but peace and love.
Okay, thank you so much. Yeah. Well,
bye.
Ciao.
All right, we'll talk to you soon, Henry. Have a great rest of your day.
We alkalize to realize the body is the temple, water is the source of life. We breathe in life and then we synthesize. This liquid sun will free your glands and begin to decalcify. Peer through your third eye, see through the lies and give your body what it's missing. We dehydrated, and that's the human condition. But when you clean the body and believe the body, you set yourself up to receive the body. See, it's a sharp knife, that's the water of life. It's like a sword cutting parasites down the sides. It takes a certain kind of faith to know that you're divine. And if it comes from urethra, then it's alkaline. We serve in truth, and it don't matter how weird it really gets. It's the linchpin ascended masters to initiates. We alkalize to realize. Open your mind and find you had it inside this whole damn time. We alkalize to realize. Open your mind and find you had it inside this whole damn time. You had it inside this whole damn time.